Hi everyone, Al DeMarco here, General Manager of the world's largest online sports handicapping website in the world, and that of course is VegasSportsAdvisors.com. And this is going to be your Wednesday daily video report. I'm going to break down 3 college basketball games for you in depth here and give you free selections. Chief among them, the Pac-12 battle between Utah and Colorado, the Mountain West game, the annual border war, Part 1, between Wyoming and Colorado State and Fort Collins. And then I'm going to head out to Champaign, Illinois, where the Illini, off to an 0-2 start in Big Ten action, are going to be hosting the Maryland Terrapins, who are already off to 2-0 start in their inaugural season in the conference. 42-33 run with complimentary plays here over the past 3.5 weeks. Those free selections coming your way in just a moment. Listen, guys, I want to talk to you about something that is one of the biggest frauds that have been perpetuated by some of the scumbags that dominate this industry and give it such a black eye over the past 3 decades. And that is the handicappers and the sports services that claim to have inside information. There is no such thing as inside information, okay? Now, that doesn't stop guys that have 800 number services, mainly claiming that they have inside information on a particular game that's going to guarantee you success and make you a winner. They're liars. They're con men. They're charlatans. Guys, it does not exist. And you can take it from somebody who's been in this business for over 20 years, and there's nothing I haven't seen and nothing I haven't done. And I'm going to give you an example here. Last night, my best bet happened to be a play that was rated 15 dimes, which for me matches the highest rated play I normally have in any sport. And it was in college basketball, and I went with Alabama against Texas A&M. Because if you go to VegasSportsAdvisors.com and you see our scores and odds page, which, by the way, if you haven't checked it out, guys, you're not going to find the scores faster anywhere else. You're not going to find a greater selection of odds to compare from top sports books, both here in Vegas and those of offshore sports books as well. Again, check it out at VegasSportsAdvisors.com. No registration required, no purchase necessary to access the scores and odds page. And I think we have a pretty damn neat mobile platform as well that you can access as well from your tablets, from your cell phones, etc. But anyway, there happened to be the game Alabama and Texas A&M that I'm talking about, where Alabama, there was a player, Jalen Jones, who was listed as questionable for Alabama. Now, listen, guys, I have seen over the years guys who are listed as questionable suddenly come out and score 37 points. I've seen guys that are listed as doubtful come out and score 42 points. I've also seen guys who are questionable and don't play for days on end. So what does questionable mean? Well, to me, it means I've got to do my research. And if there is inside information to be gained, well, first of all, it shouldn't be called inside information because you and I both could have done it. All I did yesterday was immediately go to AL.com, where is the home of the Birmingham News, where I can go ahead and see all I want to read about all the Alabama and Auburn sports teams, and I immediately read what the writers have to say. Because as I mentioned to you in the past, in my 20 years as a handicapper, it's really based on my experiences the first 8 years of my career that I spent as a sports writer. And nowadays, I have always used the beat writers to be my eyes and my ears, because those are the guys around the team and covering them on a day in, day out basis. So when I spend hours on end every day handicapping, I am going to newspaper sites across the country and seeing what other people have. So immediately I go to AL.com and I'm reading what Anthony Grant had to say about his team's performance the past couple of games. I'm seeing what the beat writer has to say about the Tide. Then I go over to the newspaper, The Eagle in Bryan, Texas, which covers the College Station area. And I see that they're talking about this guy who I don't think even the most ardent of SEC basketball fans, and I think there's a few of you outside of Lexington, Kentucky, right? I don't even think you would know who the hell Jalen Jones is. But Jalen Jones happened to be the leading scorer and leading rebounder, averaging 13 points and 6 rebounds a game for Texas A&M, who left their Saturday win against Hartford at home late in the contest with a sprained ankle. Well, the team didn't do anything on Sunday. He did not practice on Monday. And then I went to another story and I saw that the head coach for the Aggies, Billy Kennedy, and I'm just paraphrasing it, basically said, that if he was in the same condition, he wouldn't be able to play, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm thinking to myself, hey, this is more than just a casual sprained ankle. And I'm looking at that line last night and I'm seeing Alabama is minus 5 points. And I'm thinking, I don't even have to listen to that little guy screaming into my ear or on my shoulder saying, bet me, bet me, bet me. I'm rolling with the Tide last night. And believe me, after losing with Alabama against Ohio State last week in the bowl game, the Tide owed me one, and the basketball team delivered with the double-digit home rout, laying 5.5 points at home. But it just goes to show you, if you had the time. Now, for me, it took 45 minutes yesterday to do all that research. And I do that for a number of games. After I narrow down the card, I may have 5 or 6 games, and I spend hours on end researching and doing my homework. But that's the difference between me and you. I do this for a living, day in, day out. And having been a former reporter, I navigate around the internet. I'm a news junkie. I'm reading 30 newspaper sports sections a day anyway. Well, now I read a few more. Bottom line, though, anybody out there claiming to have inside information, it doesn't exist. It's just an advertising ploy designed to suck money out of your pockets. Listen, W.C. Fields said decades ago, there's a sucker born every minute. It just blows my mind that these 800 scam services are still in business, because there can't be that many suckers out there that fall for it, because then the other ploy that these scumbag services use is this. They will then call you back once you're in a long-term package with them, and they'll say, listen, guys, we need another $500 for this weekend to get additional information to make sure you're a winner. What's that really mean? It means they need $500 to go towards their mortgage payments because they're late. It means they've got to pay for those diamond earrings they bought for their wives, mistresses, or girlfriends the following weekend. That's what it really means, because there is no such thing as inside information. Listen, I was the guy that really controlled the entire injury business in this industry for a 5-6 year stretch in the 90s. Yes, me. There wasn't an injury in the NBA and the NFL, college football, college basketball that I wasn't releasing, I wasn't aware of, because I provided it to a national sports wire service that then released it to all the sports books in Vegas, etc. There really wasn't offshore sports books much at that stage, and bookmakers used it as well, and that literally would move the line when I would release injury information. But I took it upon myself that I never put others in that position that I was in yesterday, going, who the hell is this player? So I would tell you, if it was a Toledo starting power forward that he happened to be their second leading scorer and third leading rebounder, averaging 11 points and 7 rebounds a game, I would provide that information on a daily basis, because how can you gamble without the right information, not inside information, without the right research, without being educated? You can't make a wise gambling selection, making a wise bet. You're just throwing money away sometimes. Unfortunately, nowadays, nobody does that. So even if you went to VegasSportsAdvisors.com yesterday, you would have seen this guy for Texas A&M, just questionable. You didn't know if he had broken his leg, if he had sprained his ankle, if he had put his hand in the garbage disposal. You didn't know if he averaged 4 points or if he averaged 40 points. But that's what I did. And as my job, I made you a winner. Now, the information doesn't always guarantee that you're going to be a winner, but more often than not, it puts you on the right side of the game than the wrong side, and that's the key. Okay, guys, let's get to your complimentary plays here today. First one, I'm going to take a look at this game, the Border War, the first of 2 this season between Wyoming and Colorado State, called the Border War, one of the oldest college basketball rivalries, by the way, and football rivalries in the nation, but most people kind of overlook it because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in Fort Collins, Colorado, or Laramie, Wyoming. But these two campuses are only like 75 miles away from each other. Now, Colorado State, the host, is coming off its first loss of the season, a 66-53 loss at New Mexico on Saturday. Cowboys come into this game having won 5 in a row, the biggest of which was knocking off UNLV rather easily at home in Laramie, and that was a UNLV team that in its game prior, of course, shocked the world with its upset of then number 3 and then undefeated Arizona with ease at Thomas and Mack in Vegas. Rams are 14-1, okay? 14-1, and they lead the Mountain West Conference in scoring, averaging 71.8 points a game. The Cowboys, who are getting 5 points tonight, are 13-2 in the season. They are number 3 nationally in terms of their scoring defense, giving up 51.9 points a game. That's almost a 20-point swing between what Colorado State scores and what Wyoming gives up. So how can you lay the points with the favorite? That's why I'm on the underdog here. I'm going to take Wyoming plus the 5 points. This is a huge rivalry game. Now, granted, Colorado State has won 8 of the last 10 at home in the series, and Moby Arena tonight probably going to be a sellout. They've won 4 straight in the series at home against Fort Collins, but that still doesn't mean it can't be a 3 or 4 point game. Colorado State's, big guy, 6'8" forward by the name of Stanton Kidd. He left the New Mexico game because of his sprained ankle, but he did have a full practice Tuesday. He's good to go tonight, and that's important because he averages a little over 11 points and nearly 5 rebounds a game. But still, all things considered, I would rather be on the dog in this intense rivalry and go with Wyoming, a team that's going to want to slow down the pace of this game. I think this could be a 58-55 game as both teams get trapped in that half-court style of play, and the dog will bark in this one. Utah is an 11-point favorite at home tonight against Colorado. Now, the Buffaloes are coming off a 2-0 start in Pac-12 play, beating up USC by 21 points and then getting by UCLA by 6 at home in their first 2 games. Now they go on the road, and what a killer schedule. Visit Utah tonight, then they go to Tucson to take on Arizona, then they go to Tempe to take on Arizona State. Personally, I think they go 0-3 on this road trip, and it's not going to be fun for Boyle's team. Listen, prior to beating USC and UCLA in the Diamond Head Classic out in Hawaii, they lost to host Hawaii and George Washington. Utes, meanwhile, they also played USC and UCLA at home here in their first 2 games. They beat UCLA by 32 points, holding the Bruins to 29% from the field. They beat USC by 24 points. This is a Utah team that's won 5 straight since a 3-point loss to Kansas. A Utah defense that is ranked number 11 in the country in terms of scoring defense, allowing a little over 55 points a game. And this is a Utah team that's also very good shooting the ball. Number 6 in the country, in fact, hitting at a 50.8% clip. Now, they're not an exceptionally good free throw shooting team, so that always has to make you a little leery when you're laying double digits, even at home. But again, I think the defense gets the job done. I think Utah is just playing some great basketball right now. And I would go ahead and lay the points with the Utes in this contest. A Utes team that is 10-0 straight up at home this season, has won 12 in a row and 28 of their last 30 overall straight up at the Huntsman Center. Your final game is Maryland, minus a point to a point and a half at Illinois. Now, the Terrapins have opened up their inaugural season in the Big Ten with a 2-0 start. They went to Michigan State last week and as a 5.5-point underdog, won outright in double overtime. Then they came back home on Saturday and they took care of business against Minnesota, winning with ease. That happened to be another 15-9 play for me, just like Alabama last night, which matches the biggest of my career, and I cashed in with the Terrapins. Now they find themselves on the road taking on an Illinois team that opened up conference play by going 0-2, losing by 16 at Ohio State, and to Michigan by 8 in overtime. And trust me, guys, the Wolverines aren't that good. Most devastating, though, for the Illinois side is the fact that their leading scorer and leading rebounder, Ravonte Rice, who is a guard, leading rebounder and a guard, okay? 17.2 points, 6.9 rebounds. He broke his hand in practice on Monday, and he's out indefinitely. That is a killer injury. And yet Maryland's only a 1.5 point favorite. Listen, the Terrapins are playing some great ball. Their only loss this season came at home against Virginia. They're sooner or later going to have what I call a hiccup game. They're going to lose a game, and afterwards you're going to go, how? Why? What the hell happened? But I just don't think it's going to be tonight because this Maryland team puts the clamps down on you defensively. Field goal percentage, holding foes to just 36.9%. 3-point defense, holding foes to just 27.8%. And though not an exceptionally big team, they have hammered their first 2 Big Ten foes on the boards. Michigan State with Brandon Dawson in there, right? You would have thought that they would dominate in playing in Lansing as well in their opener. Wasn't the case. Terrapins out-rebounded in that game by 16 boards. Then they out-rebounded Minnesota by 44-35. And their field goal defense, I gave you the season-long stats, they held Michigan State playing at home to 21-65 from the field. 5 of 22 from three-point land. In the rout of Minnesota at home in their last game, they held the Golden Gophers, another team that's a pretty good shooting team, to 7 for 31 from the field, 0 for 11 from beyond the arc. So I'll go with Maryland. I'll lay the 1 to 1.5 points. It'll probably be 2, 2.5 by game time, and that'll be your final free selection today. So again, it's Maryland on the road, it's Wyoming plus points on the road, and it's Utah at home for your 3 free plays. Listen, tonight, guys, I have another 15-9 play that matches Maryland over Minnesota, which matches Alabama last night. It's another big 15-9 play. You can get my best bet today, plus the best bets of all the handicappers over at VegasSportsAdvisors.com. Among them, Gabriel DuPont, who has yet another $100 max wager winner. In fact, it's number 11 out of 12 and is third in 3 days after hitting last night with Villanova St. John's, and 2 nights ago was Dog of the Year, South Alabama, an 8.5-point pup winning outright. You can get that play. You can get Brad Wilton's second $100 max wager of the year on Maryland, Illinois, and number 7 of 9 overall. You can get all the plays of all the handicappers over $1,000 worth of value absolutely free today by checking out the one-day free all-access pass over at VegasSportsAdvisors.com. Free means free. And I do it because it's a way for you to sample the wares of all the handicappers at the site and see what we do. Because nobody wins every day, okay? But the key is turning a profit over the long haul. And that's the group of handicappers that I've assembled what they excel at. And you get to sample their wares again for free. The one-day free all-access pass over at VegasSportsAdvisors.com. That's it for your Wednesday report, guys. And I will catch you again on Thursday here on Roku when we do this one more time.